Okay, you can call your next witness.
State of Florida calls Joseph Quiles.
Sir, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Watch your step as you come forward. If you need a glass of water, let us know. We'll do our best to accommodate you.
Okay, no, thank you. Thank you, sir.
The only thing I ask is if there's an objection made during the course of your testimony, just pause, let me rule on the objection, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
And you can adjust the microphone to help your voice project.
All right, thank you.
Skinner, you may inquire. You're ready.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Will you state your name, please?
My name is Joseph Quiles, Quiles.
What state do you live in, sir?
I live in New York City.
And where are you employed?
I work in
Just in general.
Staten Island.
All right, what kind of work do you do, sir?
I drive trucks.
Who do you live with in New York?
Me and my wife.
Have any children?
Yes.
How many?
The ones that live with me?
Yes, sir.
4.
Is that the total number of kids that you have?
No, I have 8.
How long have you lived in New York?
Majority of my life.
Sir. Now, specifically in December of 2018, were you also living in New York permanently at that time?
Yes.
Living with your wife?
Yes.
How old are you today, sir?
I'm 40.
So approximately in 2018, how old were you?
35.
Sir, who is Johnathan Quiles to you?
My brother.
So your biological brother.
Yes.
Is he your only brother?
Yes.
Do you have any sisters?
I have like stepsisters.
Who's your father, sir?
Joseph Quiles, but he's no longer in the picture.
Was he ever involved in your life?
A small amount.
All right. And how about your mother? Who is she?
My mother is deceased. Name was Annette.
And what year did she pass away?
In 2000, the ending of 2010.
Do you see your brother Johnathan Quiles in this courtroom, sir?
Yes, I do.
You describe where he's seated and what he's wearing.
Sitting to my right, he's wearing glasses, ponytail, and a blue shirt.
Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant.
So reflected.
Do you, sir, and the defendant share both of those same parents that you just described?
Yes.
Will you first describe your relationship with the defendant while you were growing up?
We grew up together, but we weren't. I did a lot of moving around, and so he mostly grew up with my mother and aunts and stuff.
Was your relationship okay between the two of you as you grew up?
As we grew up, yes, but we weren't always together.
Did you become closer with him as you grew older?
Yeah.
Can you describe that a little bit, please?
As we got older, I became more settled, and he became more settled. We reunited and definitely spent a lot more time together. Well, mostly through phone and Texas. Yeah.
All right, that's where I was going next. As you got closer, did you generally communicate via electronic devices?
Yes.
Did you get to see him often?
Not often.
What is the age difference between the two of you?
2 years.
Is he older or younger than you?
Younger.
Now, directing your attention back to the latter part of 2018, Would you describe your relationship with your brother, the defendant, as close at that time?
Yes.
Were you talking routinely?
Yes.
Were you texting with each other routinely?
Yes.
If the records show you and your brother talked and or texted some 200 plus times on your devices in December, would you agree with that?
Yes.
Would you consider yourself close as brothers could be in December
Yes.
of
Definitely.
2018?
Yes.
Would you say you spoke almost every single day?
Just about, yes, every day.
Did he share with you any details about his job at Ace Pick-A-Part at that time?
Yes.
Did he just give you sort of a description of what he did for a living there?
Yes, but he transitioned from multiple jobs, so we always talk about how fast he would climb up the ranks in the job. So, yeah,
At different jobs.
at different jobs.
Did he ever show any video of himself on Facebook or anything like that with you, with him while working at Ace Pick-A-Part?
No, not on social media. We would FaceTime.
All right, even on FaceTime.
Yeah, we would FaceTime while he's like doing his duties at the job.
Did you guys engage in communication during this the FaceTime?
Yeah, we could say that. Yeah.
All right. Now, sir, are you good with dates?
Depends. Yeah.
All right. I want to direct your attention back to December 19, 2018, leading over to December 20 of 2018. Do you recall, just sitting here now, what day you spoke with your brother about what we're here to testify now about?
I remember speaking to him in that time
Which day?
frame. Which day? Not so much, but I know between those 2 days, yes.
All right. If your phone records that this jury has seen reflects that you either called him or he called you on 4 occasions on December 20, 2018, would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Now, in December 19, 2018, or December 20, 2018, were you in New York City at that time?
Yes.
When you had these conversations with your brother, were you at work or were you at home or elsewhere?
I was at home at the time.
On December 20, 2018, when the first call was made, best you can recall, who called whom?
I don't recall who called who.
Fair enough. Did you first speak with him on that particular day? And if so, will you first describe his demeanor, how he was acting on the phone?
When we spoke, his after normal greetings, his demeanor was a little off. It was kind of like he was nervous or a little panicky about something.
All right. Have you heard your brother sound panicky to you on previous occasions?
No.
Did it surprise you how he was acting?
Yeah, always very confident.
Did he appear to be concerned when he was talking to you?
Yeah, more of a concern, yeah.
Was the tone of his voice different?
Yes.
Was he making sense, or was he more talking to you in a rambling manner?
It was more, I wouldn't say rambling. It was more like, I need to do something. There's something I need to do.
All right, we'll talk about what he said in a moment. Is there anything else that you could describe about his demeanor or how he was sounding on your phone calls?
No, just he was worried, or concerned, yeah. That's it.
Worried and concerned?
Yeah.
All right, now would you now explain to the jury what did he first start telling you about that took you by surprise, sir?
The first initial conversation that we had, I don't recall. After that, getting closer to what was his worry, he was more concerned about what is he going to do with the young lady in question, that she might be pregnant, and what is he going to do? He doesn't want to ruin his family and mess up what he has already going on.
All right. Did he in fact tell you she was pregnant?
Yes.
Did he tell you who she was to him?
Yeah, his wife's niece.
Did he use her name to you?
Not that I could recall. It's mostly in that term.
When he told you that she was pregnant, what, if anything, did he tell you about what he was going to do about that, sir?
He said that he needs to. She's pregnant, and what is he going to do? And then outside of that, there was no conversation at that particular moment about what is he going to do.
All right. Did the conversation end shortly after he expressed that to you?
Yeah, at some point in time, we had another conversation where I started questioning him a little bit more about what he was going to do, or what he did or didn't do. And
so just so we're clear, let me stop you there. Was this next phone call on the same day?
Same day. I don't know if in the order of the calls for the conversation. And after we had a small conversation, he then said that he already handled the situation. He already took care of it.
Were those his words? He took care of it.
Yeah, he took care of it.
All right, sir. Now tell this jury what he told you with respect to how he took care of the situation.
In another conversation, same day, he then said that he took the young lady and he had her sitting in a vehicle. He picked her up. He had her sitting in a vehicle, waiting. He tried to strangle her. It didn't work out. He couldn't stomach it, and so then he later shot her in the chest, and then he proceeded to discard the body by taking the body and putting it transporting it into a dumpster, and destroying the vehicle.
Mr. Quiles, did he tell you where first he had the niece in the car? Where was he?
So in the conversation, I said it's unrealistic that you would choke a girl, have her sitting in a car waiting, and she's just sitting there. And he then said, no, but she is. And he then said that he had her sitting waiting in the back of his job, at the back of the place where there's nobody really goes there. It's just cars sitting back there, and so she's just waiting. Yeah, she's just waiting.
All right. Did he say the area that she was sitting was in the back of his current job at Ace Pickup Park?
Yeah, there was a certain part that they just had vehicles just sitting there, and they would take them to get dismantled or crushed, and no one really goes back there. You would need a permission to go back there.
When he said he strangled her, did he say that was inside the car or outside the car? If you can recall.
No, it was definitely in the car. What car? I don't know.
All right. Did he say where he shot her? Was that inside the car or outside?
Same answer. Yeah, it's in the car, but I don't know if it's in the car that he brought her to or the car that was sitting there.
Did he say where he shot her on her person?
Her chest.
Did he tell you how he was able to get her and or encourage her to come to his job? What, if anything, did he tell her to get her there?
just a process of like explaining to her that they were going to run away together, they were going to be together.
He told you he was telling her that they were going to run away together.
Yes, them two.
And that they would be together as a
They would
couple.
be together, yes.
What specifically did he tell you, if he did, to her body after she had passed? Did he tell you what he did with her?
Yeah, he said he wrapped up in carpet and then transported her.
Did he transport her to where?
The dumpster.
The dumpster at his work?
Yes, at Ace Picker Park, yes.
Did he say how he was able to transport her wrapped in carpet to that dumpster? Did he tell you that detail?
Yeah, he used one of the machineries.
What, if anything, did he tell you that he knew about that particular dumpster and how long it would be there?
Well, that was a conversation that we had. How would you just leave her sitting there, you know? And he said, no, the dumpster gets picked up today. Well, he gets picked up. And so this is going to be one of the days that it gets picked up because it's full.
Did he tell you he knew that dumpster was full?
Yeah. No, he knew that it was going to get picked up.
What, if anything, did he tell you, if his niece had that baby, what it would cause to his family?
No, he would lose his entire family. And, you know.
Yes, sir. What, if anything, did he tell you with respect to the weapon that he used? What was it?
His gun.
What, if anything, did he tell you he did with his gun thereafter, if he did?
He didn't tell me anything that he did with his gun afterwards. He said that he went to the shooting range. If you be talking about the usage of the gun,
Yes, sir.
afterwards he went to the shooting range, and that's it.
And why did he tell you he went to the shooting range?
To just blow off, I guess, whatever steam he had left over, any anxiety.
Did he tell you, Mr. Quiles, how long he had been planning to do this?
Yes, he said he was planning it for months.
Now, if he did he tell you anything with respect to what he did with her phone? Start with that.
The phone, he said he took it and threw it into like a neighboring water, a river or something, a body of water.
What about any of her belongings? If he said anything about like a bag or bags, anything of that nature, did he tell you what he did with those items? If he did.
No, I don't recall asking him about her belongings.
Now, Mr. Quiles, were you surprised by what he told you?
Absolutely.
Did it shock you?
Yes.
At first, I want to ask you, staying with that day, December 20, 2018, we know there was 4 calls. Did you put the phone down the last time for that day, let's say after the 4th call, and call the police right then?
No, I didn't.
And just, if you would, sir, just tell us why not.
I just didn't believe him. You know, I thought he was joking. He tells a lot of elaborate stories. Most of them are not true. So I definitely didn't believe him. I just thought it was one of his little concocted stories.
Now, did some time pass thereafter, Mr. Quiles, moving forward for some days where you learned through family members that your brother had a niece by marriage that was in fact missing?
Yes.
Right. Will you tell our jury how you learned about that?
I went to my grandmother's house.
And if you went to your grandmother's house, can you give us an estimate about how long after that conversation was on December 20, 2018 that you went to your grandmother's house?
I'm not sure how long.
Right. Let's start this way. Was it more than a week?
I'm not sure.
Was it within a month?
Within a month, yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
so it was shortly after.
Yeah, shortly after. Yeah.
All right, yes, sir. And where does your grandmother live? You don't have to give us an address, but where was she?
Yeah, she in her residence in New York City.
Okay. Did you go over to her house or did you call her?
No, I went over to her house.
All right. Is that where you learned that your brother had a niece by marriage or was missing?
Yeah.
The first you learned that.
Yeah. So she told me that.
Don't tell us what somebody else told you. So thank you, though. But I just want to make sure when and if you first learned that she'd been reported missing.
Yeah.
Is that where you learned?
That's where I learned this from. Yeah.
Okay. Now, once you heard that, did you start wrestling, sir, within yourself about whether you should call the police about what he told you?
Yes.
Was that a difficult decision, sir?
Yeah, very difficult decision. Because I love my brother, so it was very difficult. But I didn't just call the police then. I gave it time, and I tried to speak to him more about seeing if he would change what he said, and giving him that opportunity.
Okay. Did you say you love your brother?
Yeah, I do.
Did you want to call the police?
Absolutely not.
Right.
But we don't tolerate anything that has to do with abuse of women and children. No, we don't tolerate that kind of stuff. That's not the cloth that I'm cut from.
Yes, sir. And when you say we, are you talking about your family?
I'm talking about myself in general, specific.
All right.
I don't deal with that kind of stuff.
All right. From when you verified at your grandmother's house in New York, his niece was missing, and now grappling with what he told you, how long did you wait to then call the police after that, approximately, if you can remember?
It definitely was in that month time frame.
All right.
Yeah. I didn't go into February. I know like in the January.
You're certain it was in January?
Yeah.
Now, the police have reported and the jury has heard that was January 8th. Would you agree that's the approximate date?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, approximately.
Okay. Now, you mentioned just a minute ago that you were trying to talk to him some more and try to get him to tell you it was either some sort of joke or you were going to, you tried to pursue him. What did he tell you when you called him and said, hey, listen, I'm grappling with this?
Yeah, at first, I didn't come really direct. I told him, are you sure that this is something that happened? And he would brush me off and say, I can't talk about that over the phone, which got me a little more upset. And then when I readdressed it again, we had like a little back and forth. And then I think the final straw is when the last conversation we had, and he said, basically, I don't know him, and I don't know him, and that am I willing to risk our brotherhood, for a situation like this? After I told him that I think that I'm gonna report this and call the police. He then said, how are you gonna, jeopardize our brotherhood based upon something that I was just joking about? All right. But my decision was already made.
All right. And on that day that you decided to call the police reported, and the jury's heard January 8th. Right. You recall that date, approximately?
Yeah.
Did you send him a text?
Yes.
Sir, I want to read to you State's Exhibit 33, and I want you to confirm to this jury this was a text from you to the defendant, okay?
Okay.
Did you write the following, sir? Quote, I can't talk to you right now. I have to stay firm on my decision. What you told me isn't some joke or something you like about, so yes, I told the police because they needed to know. If you was lying, then you will be cleared and free, but if you wasn't, then you won't. I'm sorry I have to do the right thing for that girl and her family, not the right thing for you and your selfishness. I hate to lose you, but I'd rather that the girl's family have some peace. If you're innocent, then you don't need to worry, and they won't find her body. But if you're not, they're going to find her. And in that case, I already lost my brother. I'm sorry. Sir, did you send that text to your brother?
Yes, I did. I think that's the last text I sent him.
Sir, after that text, was there any further communication to this day between you and your brother?
Yeah, we communicate still.
You still love your brother?
Of course I do.
Do you even want to be here doing this, sir?
Absolutely not.
Will you tell this jury in general why you made that ultimate decision to call the police?
And I made the decision based upon, it's not about the brotherhood, it's about a missing young girl. So if this was an opportunity for her to be found, if this was a direction that she could have possibly went, then I want to give the family that option. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. One moment, Your Honor.
No, sir. Thank you.
Nothing further. Thank
Good afternoon. We're coming into evening now, so.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks for being here. I just have a few questions to kind of follow up with you.
Okay.
You just stated a few minutes ago that essentially if you had a choice, you wouldn't be here testifying, right?
Right.
You feel like you kind of forced to testify against your brother today?
And that's like a yes and a no question answer. You know.
Understood.
I made the initial call to the police, so the responsibility of it, yes. As like a duty to my brother, yeah, I feel like I'm forced to be here based upon that.
And based upon that decision to call that day, that's what you feel has led you to here at this point?
Yeah.
And that's the part that you feel is like, hey, I have no choice. I already made that decision. I have to just deal with that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, understood. I want to kind of go back. You and John talked fairly often. You testified to that during this time, like in that December month.
Yeah.
Jury's heard that you guys were texting and calling more than 200, I think it was 228 times during December. And you said that sounds totally normal because you guys were in contact that often.
Yeah.
You guys would text, call, you said you even FaceTimed, and that would be throughout the day.
You mean like every day? Like that was like a pattern?
Yeah, not every single day. I'm sure you didn't do all three of those things, but that would be something that you all would regularly do, text, call, or FaceTime each other.
Definitely, yeah.
And you even stated that when he was at work, you guys would FaceTime and talk then as well.
Yeah.
And so while he was working, were you able to kind of observe the area that he was working in as far as when he was working at Ace Pick-A-Part?
No, not in that manner. Like he's showing me around. It's more FaceTime. My phone's down. He's operating a vehicle, or I'm doing something into my house, like regular. I guess it was regular now.
Yeah, I don't mean he gave you a tour, but you could see that he was at work and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And he would explain his job to you, what he was doing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he liked to talk about work, and like you said, he'd move up quickly, jobs he would do.
Yeah, we would make jokes about that, but it's just general life stuff, what I'm going through, what he's going through, and just have a regular conversation.
Right. And kind of going towards a little bit more towards this conversation that you have talked about today, as best you can recall, that day when you and your brother talked, this wasn't just some one conversation. He laid this whole thing out to you. You said it was kind of broken up into several conversations.
Yes, ma'am.
And originally when you all called, when you guys connected on the phone call, you guys were just having a regular conversation, right?
A brief conversation, yeah. Just, hey, what's up? What's going on? I don't think we spoke, I think for a day or so. I'm not sure. We didn't speak I was caught up with something in my house.
Gotcha. And so it was just kind of catching up the beginning of that conversation. Hey, how you doing? That kind of thing.
Yeah, brief. Hey, what's
And
up?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was just a brief, like, hey, what's going on? What you doing? Things like that, just general stuff.
Okay. So after you guys exchanged kind of what was going on with you and that type of thing, that is when Mr. Quiles, your brother, went into this story.
Yeah, most after, like, I asked, like, hey, what's up? What's going on with you? You're not engaged? Like, with me, he wasn't engaged with me.
Understood. And was that part of the reason why you were describing his demeanor as kind of nervous, or I think you used the word nervous or
After
concerned?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, let me finish that. Is that the reason why you described his demeanor as nervous or kind of concerned?
After the general statement, after the statement that he made.
Understood. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that conversation because of a couple of things that you described. You stated that at one point he told you that he tried to strangle IS, and then he left her.
Yes.
And you were questioning him about that because that just didn't make sense to you.
Yeah, they make
And
sense.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm saying yes.
Okay. And that didn't make sense to you because why would IS stay in the vehicle and sit around if someone just tried to strangle her, right?
Right.
Okay. And in that description to you, he tries to strangle her, he leaves her for some period of time, although you don't know how long.
Right.
And then he comes back, and at that point he tells you he shot her.
Yes.
And that story to you just didn't add up.
Yeah, it didn't make sense at the time.
And that's what he said to you, though.
Yes.
Did you question him any further as it relates to kind of things that didn't make sense to you?
Yeah, somewhat, yes.
So when he started talking to you at that point in time, were you completely focused in on this conversation, or were you kind of distracted, busy doing other things?
I really don't recall. Like, I don't recall.
Right. And I know you said that when you first kind of were listening to this conversation, you were thinking more of, what is he talking about, trying to figure it out, right?
Right.
And you also said that you didn't believe what he was telling you at that time at all.
Yeah, right.
When you also stated that part of the reason why you didn't believe him is because he is known to kind of make up stories. What do you mean by that?
Like, he would, for example, he would tell, like, elaborate stories when we were younger, all the leading up until we were adults. One of the stories I can possibly say that he said was that he was smoking weed when he was younger, and my mother caught him. And instead of just saying, hey, I was just hanging out with the fellas and I got high, he came up with this whole elaborate story that how he's a drug addict, and he does angel dust. So my mother ended up sending him all the way away to a drug facility. So he spent more than a year in a drug facility and never did a drug in his life.
So in that time period, that story that you just told us, that was the situation. He actually went away to a drug rehab facility for an entire year.
Yeah, he wouldn't admit that he just smoked a little bit of weed with his friends.
And you stated that he never had any drugs in his system.
No.
And how do you know that?
Because we would check on him. My mother would check on him. She's a drug counselor. So she would check to see what his urine was coming up positive for drugs, anything. And he's the only one that kept testing negative.
And he kept up with that story for an entire year.
Yep, to this day, he says that he's a recovering drug addict.
And you knew that to not be the truth.
Yeah, it's not the truth.
Is that the type of thing that he would do? Just make up these wild stories?
Yeah.
And was he convincing with those? Did people actually believe him?
Oh, yeah, he's very convincing.
Would you say he was the kind of person who kind of like performs or gets into character and does that?
Yeah.
So as he was talking to you about this particular story, were you in your mind thinking, here he goes again?
Yeah, majority of the time. Yeah, he's always in a story.
Have you heard him ever talk about being a part of the NYPD?
Yeah, yes.
Has he ever been an NYPD officer?
Absolutely not.
Is that something that he would say often?
Yes.
What about him being a bounty hunter?
We thought he was a bounty hunter at one point, but we come to find out he wasn't a bounty hunter. He was an assistant to a bounty hunter.
So is these type of things of him inserting himself in situations and saying things like that, making up stories, embellishing things, is that par for the course for how you know your brother to be?
Yes.
Is that part of the reason why, when he first told you this, you didn't call police?
Right.
And you waited quite some time. It wasn't until you found out that there may be some connection to a real case that prompted you to actually have some questions.
Yes.
I know you know him fairly well because you grew up with him. If you didn't know him and you heard this type of story, you would believe it.
If I didn't know him, there would be...
Before he answers, that's improper.
Just give me a legal basis.
Improper and speculation.
Sustained.
Because you know your brother, you did not believe him, correct?
Yes, I didn't believe him.
As far as kind of growing up, even into adulthood, the things that you've described in the couple of situations that you've provided, did you believe that he was doing and saying those types of things in order to seek attention?
Yes.
Insert himself in situations?
Insert himself in what situation?
Just in general. I just mean kind of I know you gave me one example and I kind of prompted you with a couple of others. Was that par for the course for him?
Yeah, that's normal behavior.
Even if it didn't even make sense?
Yeah.
When you were asking him how he could have done these things, he always gave you an answer, didn't he?
Yeah.
If you had a question, if you prompted him in some way, he would respond to you, correct?
Yes.
If you led him down a line, he's going to give you an answer no matter what.
Right.
Is he the type of person who he's not going to let a question go unanswered?
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to give you some sort of response,
Right.
even if it's not the truth,
Yes.
even if it's a made-up part of his story.
Right.
So is he the type of person who, once he gets onto a story, he's going to keep going with it?
No, I'm going to object. It's again calling for speculation.
What was the question?
Your Honor, he's the type of person that once he gets on with the story, he's going to keep going with it. And I'm just asking that based off of his experience with him.
Okay, wrap it up. Overrule.
You can answer.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he's like that.
I know you've given us some insight into the way your brother is. And let me just ask it a different way. There's still that question of why would he make something like this up, correct?
Yes.
We know you didn't call right away when that original phone call was made, correct?
Yes.
Is that because you really didn't believe he was telling you the truth?
I object to that as evading the province of the jury. It's improper. It's calling for speculation.
What was the question again?
I asked him if he didn't call the police because he didn't believe he was telling the truth.
No, that's an objection proper.
Okay. Okay. Rephrase the question. The objection is overruled. If you still wish to address the question because there's a disagreement as to what the question was asked, you can re-raise your objection.
Okay.
I think you've covered the area, though, but go ahead.
You didn't call the police right away because you did not believe your brother was telling you the truth, correct?
Yes.
But once you found out that there was someone actually missing, for you, it was, I have to call.
Objection asked and answered.
That is correct, but I'll overrule it.
Do I?
You can answer.
Okay. Let's repeat the question, please.
My question was, once you found out someone was actually missing, you said, I have to call.
Once I found that a young lady was missing, I needed to be sure before I called.
And was that part of the reason because you said, hey, if there's any possibility that there's some truth to this, I need to at least check it to make sure, let police know to go and look?
Yes.
In fact, you told police at the very beginning you did not think your brother was telling the truth, correct?
Yes.
You just wanted them to search, see if they could verify what the story he told you, if there was any truth to it, right?
Yes.
Once you heard that that search had ended and did not find anybody, once you heard that there was no physical evidence found at Ace Pick-a-Part, did you then start to question or have doubts about calling the police?
Your Honor, I object. It calls for speculation. Again, improper. It's backs up for the jury. She's asking for speculation of what would have happened.
I just need a legal basis.
Improper
I think
speculation.
you covered it. Any other legal basis?
Yes, sir.
Any other legal basis?
Yes, sir.
Sustained.
Did you hear that no body was recovered?
Well, through the media.
Once you found that out, did you begin to have doubts about calling the police?
Counsel, hold on a second. Counsel, I ruled on the objection. Move on from that line of questioning. Overruled. I sustained the objection.
Okay, no
Don't
problem, Judge.
re-ask it, please.
I didn't know if it was because of not laying the foundation. That's why I asked.
I sustained it.
All right, let me fast forward a little bit past that. Before you called police, you said you tried to talk to your brother, correct?
Yes.
And you said when you tried to call him, he wouldn't tell you what you were expecting him to say, which was that this was a made-up story once again.
Right.
And so at that point, you said, I'm going to call police, and you made that decision. You said in your text, I'm firm in my decision.
Yes.
You had decided to call police, and there was really nothing that he could say to change your mind at that point, correct?
At that point, yes.
But when you finally had that conversation, you said, and let me back up just a little bit too, you actually said that when you talked to him those couple of times after, you didn't come at him direct and say, hey, I'm calling the police, I'm going to do this, tell me whether that's the truth or not.
I didn't come at him direct with direct questions, like, give me details about what you did or what you didn't do. I didn't cover that. I just try to give him the benefit of the doubt to say he didn't do this, he was just joking, but he's really concerned about the girl, or anything that said that he didn't commit this, he didn't do this.
Understood. And you're the type of person that once your mind is made up, there's no going back.
In this case, yes.
When you told John, your brother, that you had decided to call police, he came clean and told you, I was making it up. It was a story,
Yes.
correct?
Right.
And he said that he thought that you knew him, right?
Yeah, he said that, and he also said, I don't know him.
And by that, did you believe that he meant he would never do anything like that?
I don't know what he meant.
You said that, I believe that after he said that don't call the police, it's going to ruin my life, that kind of thing, because this wasn't real.
Right.
He's continued to tell you that to this day.
We don't actually discuss the case when we talk.
Let me ask you just a couple of quick questions about your brother. Is he an overly affectionate type of person?
Yeah.
How is he when he sees you?
He's real huggy. He wants to hug me. He wants to, be on my shoulder, and he wants to stay close to me.
All right. Is that typical for him?
Yes.
Is that how he is with most people that he knows?
That he knows, yes.
Is he the type that calls people baby and other pet names, things like that?
Yeah.
Is he pretty typical with the compliments and things like that?
Yeah.
Is he known to kind of give kisses as part of his greetings even?
Yeah.
And all other types of kind of overly affectionate types of behavior?
Yes, yes.
Is it, as far as interpreting his behavior, if somebody were to see that, or if you were to see that, Is it easy for you to understand how that may be misinterpreted? And let me rephrase that question, sorry. Is it something that you find easy to understand why his overly affectionate behavior could be misinterpreted for something more serious than that?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
He's overly affectionate with most people, correct?
Yes.
To this day, you do not believe your brother is capable of committing these crimes, correct?
Sustained. Hold on. Members of the jury, can I have you wait in the jury room for about 5 minutes? The jury's outside the presence. Mr. Quiles, do you mind waiting outside for a few minutes for us? We'll call you back in. It'll just be a couple minutes. Okay. That's fine. I'm still not done yet. All right, so the jury and the witness is now outside our presence. Counsel, what are you trying to establish? What he believes? How is that relevant? How is it relevant what he believes, what the witness believes? Cross is an example of trying to establish facts to argue in closing. How is it relevant when I sustain the objection multiple times what this witness believes, other than trying to input improper character evidence in front of the jury? But that's what that entire cross was about. How is that proper?
Could you explain why?
I understand to an extent. I get that. But a large portion of that cross we're putting in front of the jury, improper character evidence in front of the jury. That's what that was about. And I sustained the objection. I gave you some wiggle room because the facts of the case are unique given what he said on direct, and it was opened in that regard. But I sustained it, and you kept going back to the same issues of what he believed.
Specifically, that question was because of the reason I said right before why he did not call right away.
Okay, then argue it in closing. What does it matter what he believes? This is not argument. Cross or direct is not meant to be argument. It's meant to establish facts elicited from witnesses that can be argued in closing to the jury.
Because I thought it was relevant of why he would not call for a period of time, which is why I was asking those questions.
That's not what you asked him. He said why he didn't call police. That was established. No one is disputing that fact. You asking him now. Now what you know, do you believe him?
Well, I didn't say did you believe him.
I used the word, do you believe him? Yes, you did.
I said capable. That's what I said.
And what is it relevant what he thinks the defendant's capable of?
Because that's relevant to why he would or would not call.
That's not what you established. That's not what you were going after. Okay, that's not what you were going after. The objection is sustained. It was improper. Are you gonna? You're done asking questions in front of the jury?
That was my last question.
Okay, I'll sustain it in front of the jury, and then I'll go to the state. We can bring the jury back in, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold up. Can you hold Mr. Gray up? Can you bring back the witness real quick, please? I'm sorry. Mr. Quiles, sorry, or Mr. Joseph Quiles, sorry for the interruption. We can bring the jury back in, please. Members of the jury, welcome back. Sorry for the brief commercial break. You guys may have a seat. The state's objection is sustained. Any additional questions, Ms. Michelle? State any redirect?
Very brief. Mr. Quiles, just a couple follow-ups. The counsel just asked you about your brother and then he embellished the story. So you can call that line of questioning.
So, I'm sorry, say that again?
Call a line of questioning counsel brought up about your brother telling you a story.
Yes.
One of those stories I think you cited was that he was telling people he was a bounty hunter.
Yes.
But you, I think we caught you saying that he actually was an assistant to a bounty hunter. Is that correct?
Assistant to the bounty hunter, yeah.
So he actually worked for a bounty hunter at one point.
No, he didn't work for them. He was just assisting a person who does work for the bounty hunter.
Okay. Is it your testimony, sir, that that's embellishing, that he did any work at all for a bounty hunter?
Yeah, he wasn't telling the truth about.
Okay. And now, the other story I think you cited was that he played as if he was on drugs and went to a rehab center at your mom's urging for about a year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But you started that story, did you not, Mr. Quiles, by saying he was caught smoking weed, right?
Yeah, he was high. Not that he smoked weed. He was caught being high.
Okay, and no matter what we think about marijuana today, back when he was a child, it's an illegal substance then, correct?
Yes.
Right? It was a drug.
Yeah, it's a drug.
Nothing further than that, thank you.
Mr. Joseph Quiles, good to see you, sir. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
State.
Your Honor, this time the state rest.
Members of the jury, that's going to end our work here today. The state of Florida has rested their case in chief. I will then turn to the defense tomorrow. We'll go from there. Certainly appreciate you guys sticking with us today to get through a large block of evidence and testimony today to wrap it up by the end of today. That was certainly helpful to end on this note so we can move forward in the case. The orders I've given the entire time remain in effect. Please do not discuss this case among yourselves or each other. Do not do any independent research. Please stay away from the news media, newspapers, and things of that sort. You guys have been wonderful. Been here every day past 5:30 for going on 2 weeks now. Tomorrow's still going to be another big day. We'll start back at 9 o'clock. I know you guys can't get here before 9, which is fine. We'll start at 9 o'clock. We'll start promptly. We'll go from there. And we'll see how tomorrow shakes out. I'm not doing the weekend thing. Don't worry about that. We'll see how tomorrow goes and Friday goes, and we'll kind of make adjustments if we need to. It may be all moot depending on your verdict is, whether it be guilty, not guilty, some combination, or lesser included offenses. We'll see what happens. We'll go from there. It's just a matter of trying to plan out every possibility so we can be prepared as a courthouse administration. So appreciate you guys and what you guys have done this week. You can leave your notepads on your chairs. And I'll see you guys back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The jury's outside our presence. I still have counsel of state defense and Mr. Quiles present. You guys may have a seat. So the state's rested. I'll turn to the defense tomorrow. Mr. Davis, Ms. Michelle, you think you guys can rest your case by lunch?
Absolutely. If not before, I don't think we'll take the lunch.
Judge, I can tell you we've gone over the witness list with the state. We were only going to end up calling 3.
Okay.
And there are 2 I know are real short. The third one is 30 minutes.
Look, I know we talked about this. We talked about this in breaks during the lunch break about scheduling issues. I will go to closing. It depends on the state. If the state has a rebuttal case, obviously I'll go there. I'm not sure what their plans are. Based off, if if you guys can say, based on what you knew of the defense witnesses, do you anticipate a rebuttal case?
We do have the lead detective coming and maybe a couple others just on standby. But based on the three, if we do, we believe it would be brief.
Brief as in, you think it can be done by lunch, even so?
Yes, we do.
Okay. If I can do closings after lunch, I will do so. If I can charge them tomorrow, I will do so as well. If it's, I mean, they're coming back Friday anyway, so the more time they have back there, if they said they can stay later tomorrow as well, might as well maximize our time with them and lessen the likelihood that they will need to go into next week for deliberations. Of course, we don't know how long they'll take. But if I can do that, I will. I don't like charging them late in the day, but given where we're at, it may make sense to do so. But we'll see what time it is. It may make more sense for you guys to do your close, maybe send them home at 5 o'clock and charge them Friday morning at that point. We'll kind of see what happens. But I'd be prepared to do your closings tomorrow in that sense.
Did the court make a decision on the time sheet?
No, I haven't. I don't want to limit you guys. I trust your judgment, but I mean, you guys are all professionals. You know when you lose a jury. But I'll step in if I have to. So maybe not setting a time limit is better than not setting one in some respects. But I will take breaks in between the closing. I'm not going to have the jury sit there for 2.5, 3 hours. So I probably will take a break after the state's first close, after the defense close, and then the state will do a second close, and then I'll charge them at that point if that's what we decide to do. So there will be breaks built in for the jury.
Is the court inclined to do the final charge after we're both done, or do you?
That's a good question. I was thinking we can do it tonight. It may not make sense. I can do it tomorrow morning instead. You guys can take a better look at it tonight.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, go ahead.
Just in terms of just the preparation, if we all have that tomorrow, I think time would be of the essence for, I think on behalf of the state, this branch myself, probably prefer over the lunch hour tomorrow.
I'm sure we can find time. So you prefer to do it the lunch hour, not before 9 o'clock?
One more.
Here, how about we do this? How about you guys discuss all the lesser included you want? I don't think that. I mean, we talked about the jury instructions a few weeks ago. I do have a copy of it. I kind of made some changes based off combining the lessers for counts 1 and 2 because it's all the same, but for the name of the victim. The state requested second-degree murder and manslaughter with a firearm. I don't know if the defense is requesting any additional category 2s. But that's a conversation you guys need to have before we have a charge conference.
Judge, we agree.
You don't want any category 2?
We'll discuss that tonight, but I'm just saying, as far as the second and the manslaughter with a firearm, we agree with that.
How about I do this? Let me go back to my office. I'll tidy them up. I'll email them out to you guys. You guys can discuss any. I have not looked at the lessers for the count 3 yet as much. I need to take a look at that as well, but I don't think the charge conference should take all that long. I think it's rather routine at this point. We kind of know what the law is going to be for a lengthy case. The jury charges aren't that complicated.
We agree, and I think if I remember, I know it's been about a month, but we sent that initial courtesy working copy, and I think what we tried to do is stay with those category 1 lessers, if I recall, that we agree with the court.
Okay, so I'll email it out tonight. We can talk about it. I'll be here early tomorrow before 9 o'clock. We can talk about it off the record real quick to see if we have any issues. But then we can have the quote-unquote official charge conference, maybe the latter part of the lunch hour to give the staff a break depending on how the morning goes. And that should be it.
They agrees.
Sir?
Any other issue we need to handle tonight before we break from the state perspective?
Just to make sure I'm clear, on your PowerPoints for closing, the court doesn't have any restrictions in terms of just staying with a jury instruction. Some courts like just having jury instructions. You're allowed. You don't have any parameters on that.
Don't make it improper, but
Of course, yes, sir.
Very great.
No, I don't have any parameters in that regard. I trust you guys to put stuff before the jury that's not. I trust you guys to not put stuff before the jury that's not improper. If I have to get that detailed, I'm in the wrong business. Anything else from the state's perspective?
No, Your Honor.
Anything from the defense perspective?
No, Your Honor.
Anything you guys want me to inquire about with your client? And we talked about the scheduling and you talking to your client. I think the schedule actually is working out better than we anticipated as of last night. So I'm not sure that's a real issue at this point. But when we get to that point, if it becomes an issue, if you want me to inquire of him, I can certainly do so. And I'll talk to him.
Yeah, I think we did talk to him about that. There's no issues there.
Okay, and I'll talk to him tomorrow as well during the defense case in chief, depending on what you guys want to do. If you'd rather have me do that, if he's already made a decision and you want to do that before you even call a witness, I'm happy to do so. And that way I don't have to send the jury out again. Are there any motions the defense needs to make at this point in the juncture, given the state's rested?
Judge, I was going to say, can we just do it first thing in the morning when we get started?
That's fine.
No,
No, that's fine. Just get here a few minutes early.
I've already got it ready to go.
Okay. Anything else from the defense perspective?
No, sir.
Anything the defense wants me to inquire about with their client?
Can't do it tomorrow, Judge, that's more than mine.
Okay. Okay, and just so for planning purposes, if we do have to go to a phase 2, and I say that if, because we don't know what the jury's going to do, that would start Monday. I would not go straight into it on a Friday. I would not do that. I would go into it on Monday. Okay, I appreciate you guys, appreciate the staff. I know it's been a long couple weeks. I know it's been a long week for you guys as well. Appreciate everything you guys have done. I mean, I noticed it, so I want to make sure the record reflects it as well. So you guys have a nice night.